Welcome to Beyond the Balance, where we redefine wealth and rebuild futures. Because financial freedom isn't just about numbers, it's about making your money work for you, your future, and your freedom. We're here to talk about wealth, growth, and the stories that prove you don't need a perfect balance to make a perfect comeback.
Good.
Thank you. Okay. Um, all right. Today, I am pleased to welcome Joseph Haas, an Australian speaker, communication coach, and storyteller. With a diverse background in business, IT, and real estate, Joseph brings a practical and thoughtful approach to helping others communicate more clearly and confidently. Joseph, it is great to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Kyla. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm sorry, my computer blacked out on me. So I do have a few questions here for you, but I do enjoy the flow of conversation. So I just wanted to start off by asking you if you could share a little bit more about yourself and your background.
Sure, absolutely. So I was born in Vienna, Austria. And when I was born, my dad wrapped me up after 3 months, gave me to his friend to send me to my grandma somewhere in Europe.
Wow.
And
Okay.
that's how my life started. And I stayed with my grandma for about maybe 2, 3 years. Then I came back when I was 3 years old to Vienna. And then we moved to Australia. A lot of people get me confused between Austria and Australia.
Yeah.
Austria is in Europe and Australia is at the bottom of the world near New Zealand. We came to Australia because that's where my mother was from. And during that time, I went to school. I was a shy kid. I couldn't really interact with people that well. Then, when I was 9, my auntie came for a visit and she said, "We're going to go on a holiday." I'm like, okay, being a kid, 9 years old, going on a holiday, that's great.
Exciting.
My Yeah, exactly. And my mum and dad were having issues at that time. That's why she came. That holiday ended up lasting 15 years. She took me 2 years and we lived in Turkey for 2 years. She took me 2 years to Singapore and we lived 2 years in Singapore. Then we went all the way to Egypt and I spent 11 years there. So, what I needed to learn was adaptability. Being in different environments, I didn't adapt and I didn't want to share what I was going through because I felt that it was different. As I got older, I realized that what happened is actually good because I'm still alive. So, it's a good thing. And then I was more open about it. Even when I came back to Australia after 15 years, I used to say, "Oh, I was brought up by my mum. She was a single mum." I never was completely vulnerable. And during that time, I discovered they adapted really quickly and I created connections with people, except all of us have a superpower. Mine happened to be communication, and it's so close to us that we don't see it. We don't even realize we have it. And sometimes we think that everybody else has it. For me, I knew I was a good communicator when I came back to Australia because when I applied for a job, I would get the job, I would get promoted quickly. All the signs were there, except I thought that I was an IT guy and IT was my superpower. And the funny thing, I was a communication engineer. So communication
Oh,
with computers, now I'm communicating with people. So that was the interesting bit that I learned about myself. And the discovery came when I was working for an international satellite communication company and we had a meeting. And during that meeting, because we were taking over all these companies all around the world, we used to have it at lunchtime. And during one of the meetings, the CEO paused the meeting and said, "Joseph changed the way Australia and Pacific clients view the company." And at that moment, I went, huh, there's something there more than my technical ability. And I got invited to speak to a leadership group. And one of the people came up and said, "I really enjoyed that. You're an enlightened monkey." The monkey bit didn't hang with me, the enlightened bit stuck. And she said, "You articulate really well." I went and reviewed what happened to me. And I found I get the jobs very quickly. I go to an interview and they say, "Oh, you're really good at interviewing." I'm like, that's a weird thing to say, but thank you. And then I would get promoted really quickly. So people, when they get stuck in their head, they used to come to me as well. So there was all these little signs that showed that communication was my skill. And when it came to my awareness, not that I wasn't aware that I didn't have it, I just thought everybody else was the same as me. So I
Mhm.
ended up sending an email out to people close to me. I said, what are my strengths and what are my skills? And after all the jokes came back, are you all right? Are you going through a midlife crisis? What's wrong with you? Do you need therapy? All that, it was like communication, teaching, coaching, giving advice, mentoring, counseling. Right at the end was IT. And that was an eye opener for me, and because when you're working and you do really good work, you get rewarded by having more work and more responsibilities. I'm not
Yeah.
saying don't work hard. I'm just saying you need to set boundaries to balance. And during that time, they were offshoring all of our operations because I was managing Australia and Pacific customer support. They were offshoring it to Malaysia, and they said, we want you to train people over Skype. And the people that were working for me, the best ones were taken away. So I didn't want to have a nervous breakdown. So I ended up quitting my job at that time and went into my superpower, which is communication. And then I started a new career or reinvented myself and going and teaching people and helping people communicate better with themselves and others, because the quality of our life is the quality of our communication. Whatever you're doing, if you're working for somebody, if you're in a business, you need communication with yourself and with others.
Okay. You know, what really stuck to me was, I mean, actually, all of it was very interesting. I mean, your story from beginning to end. I mean, there's no surprise that you're a natural storyteller because you have such an interesting story to tell, number one. But what really stuck out to me was the fact that once you kind of realize yourself and who you are, you quit your job and you went your own path. And I've been talking to quite a few people, and these are people that are experts at what they do. Like you're an expert at communication. That's your superpower, as you like to say, right? They always say, I had to quit my job and I had to go a different path. Why do you think that is?
That they had to quit their job.
Well, not necessarily that they had to, but it was just they had to break free from that place and do something else. Like, what really amplified that for you?
It's really part of a self-discovery. I like to think about it like Michelangelo when he was working on David. He said, David was in the rock, and I brought David out of the rock. The same thing with us. We need to experience different things to find out what we like, what we don't like, what we're good at, what we're not good at. And also, we need to ask other people because we are in the picture and we don't see ourselves. So we need that reflection, which is a mirror to see. That's why we can look at other people and say, oh, if that person does that little thing, he's going to be excellent, except they don't see it in themselves. But it's easy to see it in other people. And I believe right now, the major issue or why people need exactly what you're saying to break free is because we're bombarded with a lot of things all the time, and
Mm,
our attention is the currency. And people don't realize when you're on social media, you're the product. You are the product that getting sucked in. So marketeers can offer and make offers to you and market things to you. So we need to protect our attention and be laser focused. When you are doing multiple things, you're spread. You're like a light that lights up the room, except it's not impactful. When you focus, it's like a laser that makes a hole in the wall, and we need to focus on one thing at a time. When people say diversify your investment, diversify what you're doing, yes, it's important to diversify, but that's not step number one. If you look at everybody that achieved great success, they had one thing. They did that one thing well. Once they got that thing, they moved on to the next and the next and the next, and then they diversified. If we look at Elon Musk, for example, it was PayPal. Once PayPal was done, boom, next thing, next thing. And there's countless examples of that. that you focus on one thing, then you move on to the next. So we have to free ourselves by bringing our attention to what's important, laser focus. And that's why people had to break free. Because if you're distracted, and me being an IT guy, I was a communication engineer, we have tunnel vision. We just focus on the project and it consumes you. I call it tunnel vision because I would wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning designing a network and drawing it on a napkin and go, oh, I might have forgot something. I might as well write it down. It was like the napkin right next to me. And my mind is always consumed with that. And what we focus on expands. So we got to make sure we focus on what's important to us. So that expands and you get the result. And always ask yourself, what's the outcome? What am I doing here? And what's the outcome that is required? Then work from the outcome backwards. How can I achieve this and work backwards? And then everything becomes clear. And that's why they need to break free to focus. Because when you're doing multiple things, there's lack of focus.
Okay. All right. I think that perfectly answered my question. And so I love what you said about staying on that one thing and excelling at it and then moving on to something else. And so for people who are trying to maybe climb the corporate ladder or maybe start their own business or anything that is to achieve them success, especially financially, what do you recommend other than starting but taking this one thing and making it better? What do you say from there? What's the next strategy?
I like to think of that as a lot of people tell you just, quit your job and the parachute would open, jump out of the plane and everything takes care of itself. That's not true. You have to do it baby steps. So the first step that you want to do, you want to see how much income you need to live on. So once you determine how much income you need a month, you work on something that can give you that income. And once you achieve it consistently, then you can quit your job or whatever it is. Don't just go quitting your job right away. Do
Yeah.
baby steps and make sure you can support yourself before you take the big jump. So that's what you do with business. And how to find out what you do with business, people have got it the other way around. They go and say, I've got this thing, it's really good, and you need to buy it because I like it. You need to go out and ask people, what's the biggest issue related to the thing that you want to work on? And what do you want to achieve from it? And this is what happened with me and my ex-girlfriend. She lived in Rochester and she was in aromatherapy. She studied aromatherapy. She was involved in it for 9 years. And we decided to do a business together. And she said, what do you think we should work on? And I'm like, well, you've been in aromatherapy for 9 years. Aromatherapy would be the way to go. And then we went out asking people, what is the biggest challenge in aromatherapy? And what do you want to achieve as a result of aromatherapy? We
Okay.
found patterns. The patterns will show. The pattern was the information out there was misleading. And what they wanted to achieve, authentic information from people that know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of misleading information, and the companies that sell the products don't always give you the right information, except they're really good at marketing and people listen to them. And the aromatherapists that are really good at what they do can't communicate the correct information out there because most people that are very good at what they do can't communicate their strength and can't communicate their message because we think if I'm good at what I'm doing, my work would show I'm really great, or the way I'm doing it would show the result. You need two things. You need to be able to communicate your message and you need to be able to be good technically. If you're not good technically, if you're not good in communicating your message and you're good technically, you kind of like got half of the toolkit.
Hmm.
You got to have both together to move forward. So once we found out what the pattern was, we worked out a product. The product was a membership site that connects aromatherapists with aromatherapy users. And then how are we going to get money to fund that membership site? We created something called the Aroma Summit. And that Aroma Summit, we used the connection with people that she already knew to invite them to be guests to be interviewed for the Aroma Summit. And there was other people that we couldn't get in touch with. So we went and talked to these people, get them to introduce us to the people that they know, and everybody knows somebody. It was an accomplishment intro. They introduced my girlfriend and her accomplishments to that person, and the trust was passed to them. And then we made all these people affiliates. So through being affiliates, they would market themselves and market us indirectly. And if they make a sale, they get paid, we get paid, and it's a win-win situation. So as you can see, it's step by step going through if you want to start the business. It doesn't all happen right away. It's just step by step. And when you want to climb the corporate ladder, you need to understand the people in front of you and understand their style of communication. Everybody communicates the way they see the world. And when I was working in IT, I realized that I was a translator. The project manager sees the world from the high view, and I have to give him the big picture. The technical people see the world in detailed view. I had to give them the detailed picture. I would see the project manager and the technical guy unable to communicate. They're saying the same thing, except one is from this view, one is from the detailed view, and they weren't connecting. And a lot of the time, you find people that are talking about the same thing, except they're not connecting because they're expressing it in different ways. Because we speak four different languages that are not like French, Spanish, English, and Japanese. We are visual, we are auditory, we feel the world as well. And some people process data. So we need to understand which one is the dominant one and understand the person's style of communication. So understanding is the first thing that you do. And they say, treat people the way you want to be treated. That's all good. I say, treat people the way they want to be treated. And you tailor your communication to them. And once you do that, you'll be able to climb the corporate ladder because they'll connect with you at a deeper level. And in your business, the same thing. Talking to the people that you want to connect with, you start where they are at and then take them to where you are. And a lot of people make mistake by going, I'm this, but I'm here. I want to lose weight. I don't understand all about food and everything. And then most of the time, what I want as a client, for example, if we want to lose weight and be healthy, they think that doing the exercise might be the thing that would make me lose weight, which is actually the food would be the thing in that instant. And the other thing as well, they might even want self-care. I had a client that came in my early days of coaching. She says, I want to feel better. I want to lose weight. And it wasn't that, it was self-care. So she would feel good about herself and meet the partner of her dreams. And she wanted to be at peace with herself, which is nothing to do. She wanted health and peace, not losing weight, but it came in as something completely different. So I trust that will answer because that question had multiple bits in it. So I gave you the business side of you and the corporate side of you. But at the bottom line is understand and then communicate.
Okay. And so you were good. That was good. I did not realize that I did layer that question a bit much. And so I guess my next question, and I'll kind of try to keep it to one, is how do people learn how to communicate in the way that others need them to then? Instead of going with treat people how you want to be treated, how do they go with that, how they want to be treated then?
That's an excellent question. So the real communication is sub-communication. The real communication is not what appears on the surface. That's what I am presenting, but there's always sub-communication. If I come and meet you and go, hello, Kyla, great to be here. I already am communicating lack of confidence, lack of interest. I don't really want to be here. I'm not excited. And this is nothing to do with the words that I'm saying. Whereas if I go and say, hello, Kyla, it's great to be here. I'm communicating confidence, warmth. I'm communicating that I want to be here. I'm communicating that I'm excited to be here. So we need to watch the sub communication. And Leonardo da Vinci said, observation is intelligence. So we need to observe what is happening with the other person and not listen to respond, listen to understand what they're telling us, not just by the words, because the words are only 7%. We need to select our words very carefully because they're 7%. 33% is the tonality, and a 60% is what I'm doing with my body. And you can test this. You can go to a restaurant because you like to eat out. And
I
when they
do.
say, "How is the food?" you go and say, "It was pretty shitty. Thank you very much." And with a big smile on your face, they'll go, "I'm really glad you're enjoying it." Right? Because your body is saying what you're actually feeling. The words are secondary to that. So when
Okay.
we observe what people are doing, we get to understand what the real communication is. The second thing that we do is we watch the words that they say. The words that we use has a special meaning to us. And
Mhm.
I asked countless people, I said, what does the word power mean? And I'll ask you this as well. When I say the word power, what does it mean?
The word power to me means the ability to command, I guess. When I think of powerful people, they're usually in control of themselves and they know how to kind of conduct other people. Like if they're in a leadership role, they have the ability to do things smoothly and seemingly seamlessly, even if it's not, that's kind of how I view power, I guess. Yeah.
That is an interesting definition. I always see it as strength. Other people see it as power lines. Other people saw it as politics. Other people told me it's control. Other people said it's the government. See, each person has their own definition. And it doesn't matter what the word is. I just like to use power. It doesn't really matter what the word is. The point is each person gives meanings to the word that they use. So it's very important to listen to what the word the person uses. And if they say, "I'm ecstatic to be here," you don't go and say, "You're happy to be here," because happy to be here doesn't have the same meaning as ecstatic. Ecstatic moves them. When you use the same words as a person uses, you connect with them and you trigger those meanings that they have in conjunction with the word. The other thing that we use to connect is finding commonalities. And that's what everybody uses. They just find commonalities, and that's the only thing that they use. You find commonalities, you use the words, you use the tonality that they use, the speed of speech as well, and you also mirror their body language. And that's how you understand what is going through. You observe it. And then when you do that, you have to be ethical, of course, about it and connect with the person because this happens on a subconscious level. And you want to be ethical and make sure that the connection is beneficial and you're leading them in a good thing that is beneficial for them, whether getting the job or selling them something or what influencing them. So that's how we take on the other person's communication. We also look at how they view the world. Are they visual? So they'll say, "Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see my vision?" Are they auditory? Does that sound good to you? So you watch what they're saying and then you tailor your communication to their style of communication. And that's how you communicate the way they want to be communicated to instead of treating them the way that you want to be treated. I'm not saying treating them the way you want to be treated is not great. That's half. If you treat them the way they wanted to be treated, it's better.
Okay. All right. And so when you tell me these things, I start to think this is all well and good, and it sounds like it is perfect for when you're sitting or as we're doing right now, a video conversation. But what happens to those people who are focused on mass networking and their job surrounds maybe like sales, and they really need to get in contact with as much people as possible, but they don't really have the space to be so personable, and they still want to make people feel like they're worth it, and they really care about them, but they don't really have that minute time to talk like we can, for as long as we want to, so what do you say to those people that are trying to mass network and want to get better at it?
Simple, be real. When I say be real, it means speak authentically from the heart. Don't follow any scripts. And that we can do that in 3 steps. We connect with them really quickly. Like when we started talking, we connected really quickly in about a minute. And the best way to do that is to find what we have in common and use stories. And the story can be 1 to 2 minutes, and the story needs to link to the point. The only time people say they say stories are not effective because they don't link it to a point. When I say a story, it needs to link to what we're doing and then illustrate something. So that's one. Number two, we need to find the common ground that we're saying, what we're talking about. I need to find what they want. I need to know what I want and then connect in the middle. And this is a diagram that I use with my clients. That's you, for example. That is me. This is the common ground. Once I find the common ground, I go here. It's a win-win. And if we're working for somebody, there's another circle, which is the employer. So I have my employer, I have me, I have the customer. I work in the black area where we connect. So I first connect with them. Number two, find the common ground, find what they want. I know what I want. Then the number 3 point is give them what they want or influence them to have my product, provided it is the right thing for them, and deal with any resistance that comes up. Because a lot of people would resist, not because they want to make sure that they're investing in the right thing. They want to make sure that this is the right thing for them. And
Right.
when you're real and you talk to them without a script, just asking them a question, understanding what they want and giving it to them, it's win-win. And it just happens naturally.
Okay. That makes perfect sense. Um, and so when we talked a little bit earlier, you talked about how communication is in conjunction to every other part of our life. And so I can kind of see that. I mean, if you improve this level of communication by understanding how people want to receive that communication, then things would be better all around. But one thing that I'm especially interested in is finance specifically, and less from a business perspective or even like a professional perspective, but how can we take this communication and apply it to our personal finances?
Communication equals wealth in all areas of life. And for finances, you need to be congruent with yourself first. So you need to understand that you have to be aligned in your own communication because, like I was saying, sub communication is the real communication. And when you learn something, a lot of people come and tell me, oh, coaching doesn't work. I've done it before and it didn't work. And I go, yes, it won't work because you have to make it your own. If I tell you something and you take it on board and you go and do it the way I am doing it, it's not going to be Kyla's style. You're not going to be congruent. So the way you want something to be effective is you practice it, you make it your own, then you bring it out. And you always got to look at the outcome. What is the outcome that I want? I'm meeting this person. We want to make a sale, for example. The outcome is to make a sale. I say, bring out the elephant in the room. When you bring out the elephant in the room, it doesn't have an impact on us. If I want to sell you something, I go, hello, Kayla. I'm going to do a presentation. At the end, I'm going to make you an offer. If this is good for you, go for it. If it's not, there's no obligation for you to buy it or do anything at all. And it will be a great pleasure just meeting you. That means now I'm relaxed, you're relaxed, we can talk, there's no tension. Whereas a lot of people would not bring out the elephant in the room, and that creates tension. And I had a client, he worked with really rich people, and he goes, these guys are bastards. I'm like, what do you mean? Why do you think that is the case? He goes, I said, why do you think that is the case? And he goes, I feel that they think I want to take something from them. I'm like, good. What can you do about that? He goes, I said, think about it. What can you do? He says, I can tell them I don't want to take anything from them after he took a while to think about it. And that's exactly bringing out the elephant of the room. I don't need anything from you. I'm here to help you. And if there's a mutual connection, great. If there isn't, it's all great. The tension is gone. And that is the biggest thing that we need to focus on is if there's something there, we bring it out and then it has no power on us. Same when we go to a job interview, the outcome is for me to get the job.
Yeah.
So I express that I want to get the job and I work on my communication skills. So my communication skills matches my technical skills because people go in really strong technically with low communication skills and they go, "Oh, I didn't do great. I'm going to go home and work more on my technical skills." No, you are in the interview. You're already there. They just want to see if they like you and they can get along with you. So you just upgrade your communication skills and then you'll get the job. Except people don't see it that way. They only look at one angle, which is I need to be competent. And we get judged on being competent and being warm unconsciously. When you meet somebody, you go and say, "Oh, that guy, John, he's nice guy, but he doesn't do much work," right? But that's how we think. Or Craig, I'm not sure about him, but he's really good at what he does, but the warmth is not there. And this happens unconsciously. That happens with everybody. So if we work on our communication and meet both, you've got both areas. You're not coming in with half the toolkit, which is I'm really good at what I do. And most people that are good at what they do can't communicate it. People that are not good at what they do can communicate really well, except they can't do the job properly.
Okay. And so I'm I'm nodding along with you. I'm saying, okay, this makes perfect sense. But as I think about myself personally, as when we spoke earlier, I told you communication is one of those things that I can work on myself. I've always been a great storyteller, but when it comes to having conversations with other people, I kind of lock up and get a little bit awkward. And so I can imagine this would be the same for others. And what would you recommend for people to kind of work on that communication and find that congruency within themselves?
Very interesting. When we connect with people, we can talk about family, we can talk about occupation, we can talk about recreation, we can talk about dreams. Everybody would connect on that. And instead of just asking questions, we need to understand that context comes before content. So if I'm talking to you and I want to go deep with you, I can go and say, "Look, Kyla, I get really inspired by how people achieve things. And I've got a great dream. I want to go to Hawaii and surf a barrel. Do you
Okay.
have a great dream that you would like to achieve?" And then that opens up a different kind of thing, and they'll start talking about themselves. What we need to understand is when they talk about themselves, because everybody loves to talk about themselves, they will be vested in you. And you, as a good listener, would listen to them, understand what they're saying, so you become interested instead of interesting.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And that
So
will create a strong connection.
okay, so my what I'm hearing is become a good listener and also try to get to know people more before kind of diving into something deep. Am I understanding that properly?
Yeah. And you can do that through creating a context for the conversation.
Okay.
Once you create the context, that's the container that holds the content, and that always comes first.
Okay. That makes perfect sense. I guess when I think about communication in my personal life, I guess, it's more about speech for me. How is the speech coming out? And what I'm learning today is that it's more about that um, connection aspect. Would you say that the connection is more important than the speech itself?
They both are important, except the connection will make you memorable and will create a greater impact. And the connection, the quickest way to connect is through empathy and using storytelling. And when you tell a story, don't report it. Like the news. "Welcome, we're 5 p.m. and we're going to tell you what happened today. I went and did this and this and this." That's reporting a story. You want to relive the story. You
Oh,
want to be with them. You want to use emotions. You want to show them what you've seen so they can see it. You want to show them what you're hearing during that time. You want to show them how you felt. You want to use your voice. Your voice, it's not just like, as I said, the tonality is 33%. When you speak, if there's something important, go a little bit lower and people will pay more attention. Or you can go a little bit louder and deeper because the deep voice impacts the subconscious mind. It bypasses the conscious mind and it creates an impact. And when you do that variety, it's similar to highlighting or bolding text when you are in a Word document or on a website. That bolded text is when you go deeper with the voice. It keeps the person engaged with you, and also it unconsciously they pick up what's important in your speech. So they're
Okay.
both important.
Okay, both equally important. I will try to remember that for my own personal life. And I know we covered a lot, and communication is just one of those things I believe that we kind of, like you said, have to be more mindful of the other people. Is there anything else that you would like to point out for the people? And we covered personal finances, we covered business life, and everything like that. But is there anything that you feel we might have missed?
Hmm. Very good question. Very good question. First of all, I would like to say listen to understand, not listen to respond. So always listen to understand. Be clear in your communication because as effective communicators, we're responsible for sending and receiving the communication. And the number three, avoid distractions. If there's any distractions, if you say ums and ahs, if you tweak your glasses, if there is something there, practice not to do that and be comfortable pausing. Be comfortable just when you ask me the question, I needed to think about it. It's okay to take that time to think about it. And if you're in an interview and you're under pressure, always ask for a glass of water. And if you need to think, you just take a sip of the water and then you calm yourself down because in the interview, we control the content. They control the context, but we control the content. And I learned this thing. If somebody asks you a question and you can answer it the way you want to answer it, not specifically what they wanted from you. If you want to answer it in a specific way, you can. And I'll give an example from Donald Trump. He was being asked about the women and the stuff that happened in his life, and he didn't want to answer that. So he came back and answered. He said, when you become successful and you're like Oprah, life is completely different. That's got nothing to do with the question that he got asked. Nothing. It's basically what he wanted to answer, the way he wanted to answer it. So we need to know that we're in control of the content and we can answer the things to make the point that we want to make.
Okay. All right. I mean, I don't know if there's anything else that we would have to cover as far as communication. I want to put you on the spot and ask you, as an expert communicator, how was my communication today?
Your communication is good. If I am to give you one more tip, use vocal variety. We all have a tone to our communication. Make it more like a nice tune by going up, down, up, down. So it has a tune to it instead of it being consistent on one. It's like playing a musical instrument. When you play the musical instrument, it's like it's not just that's the recommendation that I would make. Other than that, your body language is really great. Your facial expression is really great. You're warm. I can connect with you. You are naturally good at asking good questions. So
Thank
the only recommendation would be varying and having vocal variety. Don't be afraid to play with your voice.
Okay. And I did have one more secret question for you is you have such a diverse background and I know you're a coach at the moment. And so I'd like to ask, do you have any projects or any webinars or anything that you're working on that we can kind of look out for and get to know a little bit more about you?
Right now, I work one on one with people and I'm moving from one on one to one to many. I'm not exactly sure how that is going to come out yet because it's early stages. The main thing that I'm doing now, I'm getting invited on podcasts to get my name out there, and people can watch the videos that I make on Facebook to learn communication skills. And what I can say to people is if you want to be good at something, go out and get a coach because it's the quickest way to get to where you need to go.
Mhm.
If you can't afford a coach, find somebody that you respect. You don't have to like them. You have to respect them and respect what they've done and trust in their knowledge and watch what they do and learn from them because they offer a lot of content and content is out there. Except the issue with the content on the internet is it's not structured. So if you want to learn something, make sure you find out what the outcome that you want and structure that learning to achieve the outcome because knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential power. It will become power once you apply it. So applied knowledge is power, and we need to apply and we learn as we go. It doesn't really matter if you don't know. You just put yourself out there and adjust. I'm still adjusting my communication every day, making it better, refining it. It's the same as Michelangelo when he was working on David. He kept chipping and bringing David out of the rock. You are bringing your abilities, whether it's communication or anything else, out of you. And the way you do it, the more you practice, it's refining it. And then you layer your skills on top of each other.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And can you give us your social media or anything like that to kind of follow you and watch more of your videos?
Sure. If you'd like to connect, you just go to askjosephhas.com and you'll find all my social media links on there, how to contacting me, and I'd be really happy to help anybody that wants to improve their communication because communication equals wealth in all areas of life, not just financially, because financially is one aspect of wealth. You want to communicate good with your family, you want to have good relationships, and it all comes together because real richness is having all those areas covered. If you just have wealth and money, you only got money. It doesn't make you rich. To be
Right.
rich, you got to have all the other areas as well.
Well, thank you, Joseph. I will definitely put your information down below and I will check it out more myself. I know I've been following a little bit of your content and checking out some of those videos, which are always very helpful. But I appreciate you doing this one-on-one with me. And I hope your one-to-many sessions go very well.
Thank you so much, Kayla. It's a really great pleasure to be here, and thanks for inviting me.
Thank you for tuning into today's episode of Beyond the Balance. If this conversation inspired you, be sure to subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Keep redefining wealth, rebuilding your future, and taking control of your financial journey. And always remember, you don't need a perfect balance to make a perfect comeback.